Arrays and objects. Oh yeah, get excited. Yeah. How do you make an array? How do you make an... Huh? No, just the easy way, yeah. Square brackets, right? Piece of cake. Square bracket. So, what's your favorite veggie, Andrew? Carrots. What's your fave, Logan? Broccoli. V, what's your favorite vegetable? You don't like vegetables? Stephanie, you like vegetables?
I like cauliflower.
All right. Cauliflower. That'll do. Cool. So how do you access the items in an array? Accessing the items in an array. Yeah, with an index, right? Yeah. Tell me. Hold on. Sadie. How do I do it? Yeah.
Okay, so it'd be veggies, open parentheses, depending on which one is
Bracket, right? Not parenthesis, right? Yeah. Yeah, so 0, 1, or 2, right? So they start at 0. So if I do 1, that'll get me broccoli, right? Let's test that out. Console.log veggies, square bracket 1. Here's my console down here. Yeah, broccoli. Piece of cake. How do you add an item to the end of an array? Good guess, append. It's not .add, it is .push, right. So class list, it was .add because that's not actually an array, but it is .push with an array, which is the same as several other languages. So what's your favorite vegetable? Hold on, don't have your name tag out. Hold on. I think I did this yesterday too, and I called you Herman, right? No, okay. R. Rich. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah. Herman was in the last row. What's that? You like lettuce? Any particular kind of lettuce? There is no Herman. Spinach is an alternative to lettuce. I mean, spinach is legit though. Spinach is all right. But I'll tell you. But I will tell you. I'll tell you a little secret here, guys. This is a big deal, folks. I should say. You know, iceberg lettuce. That's a joke, right? The stuff they use in Caesar salad, though, romaine lettuce. That's a little better. It has a little taste. Boston lettuce. That's the stuff. Boston lettuce is practically like candy. It's so delicious. Boston lettuce. That's what it's called. I don't know why they call it that. All I can tell you is it is delicious. It is so much better than other kinds of lettuce that it may as well not even be the same kind of food. Iceberg is it's a whole lot of nothing. It's just a bunch of crunch. You have to drown it in blue cheese. Anyway, so does this work? Console log. Okay, we're getting off track. All right. There we go. See, totally works. Boston lettuce has another name though. No, it's not. It's a little thing. All right, here we go. That's how you add to the end, right? How do you remove from the end? Yeah. Pop, indeed. Veggies.pop. No more Boston lettuce. Not a world I want to live in. Kind of like this one. Okay, so add to the beginning. Ooh, yeah, that's a good trick. Add to the beginning. Anybody know how to do that? Anybody happen to know? Not when you use a lot. How about remove from the beginning? No? You could probably make that happen, but one that just totally removes something from the beginning, you could do it with Splice, but shift. Yeah, like move the entire array forward. Like here it is. Here's my beginning. Whoop, just shifted over. Now the first one's gone. I don't know. That's how I think about it. Does it really work?
That's like a whole semester of explaining it.
There you go. No more carrots. So how do you think you add to the beginning? That's right. Unshift. Oops, I didn't mean to say veggies here. That isn't doing anything. But yeah, unshift. So Kirtana? Huh? Oh, that's right. I knew that. Yeah. Kirtana. What's your favorite? Corn. Sure it is. It's starchy, but it's very starchy. All right. We're getting distracted. Corn. Add it to the beginning. What about removing something from the middle? Woohoo.
I feel like you kind of like use shift, but like particular spots. You gotta.
Yeah, you don't, but there's another thing that, I mean, that's a perfectly reasonable guess. Yeah, anybody happen to know? If you're a mad scientist and you want to take a couple species and make some horrible monster hybrid of the two, you splice it, right? You splice those genes. Splice. That's right. Splice. Array splice. So let's pretend that we've never used array splice before, and let's Google it. So I pause, look things up in the documentation a lot at times in class, right? I'm doing this to kind of simulate us finding this stuff out for the first time. So that if there weren't somebody here telling you all this stuff, there are resources at your fingertips to find this kind of information. And sometimes reading the documentation isn't super easy. So let's read it together and see if we can figure it out. So let's say JavaScript array splice. Very first result is developer.mozilla.org, good old MDN. The splice method changes the contents of an array by removing existing elements and or adding new elements. So let's look at the syntax here. Splice, first parameter, start, the index at which to start changing the array with origin 0. Cool. So let's say, let's say we want to get rid of broccoli because it's more interesting to remove from the middle. So 1. Okay. Delete count is the second argument, an integer indicating the number of old array elements to remove. We just want to remove 1. I keep doing that. So 1 thing to remove. Then any number of additional elements would be something to add at that position in the array. But let's focus on removing things first. So this ought to do it. Sure enough, broccoli's gone. So what if we didn't know where broccoli was in the array? How do you think you find something in the middle of an array? How do you think you find the index of something in an array? What are you saying? What did you say? Find will totally find something in the middle of an array. But what if we just want the index? Index of works, yep. Veggies.index of broccoli. Let's say let I equal that. Whoops. I. Throw I in there. That way we can tell the difference between those two ones, right? So 1 here is the number of items to delete. So that finds and removes from the middle. What about adding to the middle? Add to the middle. We said we use splice for that too. So veggies.splice. Start from the same position. This time we don't want to delete anything. And then we can add any number of other items that we want. So what do you say, Kendall? What's your favorite? Cucumber. Why not? Jordan, got a favorite? Tomatoes? Yeah, they're not in there, are they? Close enough. There's disagreement. They're definitely food. They're plants. They count. There we go. And added cucumber and tomatoes right in the middle, right? Cool. How about looping over those things? How about I want to do something to each thing that's in that. Iterating over an array. So for each thing that's in there, I want to do something. Yeah. Oh, for loop or while loop or something like that, right? We've all used those before. So for I equals 0, I less than veggies dot length I plus plus. Let's say console log what? Like veggies square bracket I, something like that. Notice this is the first time I used let up here when I declared I. That's because I knew I was going to reassign it down here.
You want to add a space there before. You want to add a space
Where?
in the console log. Because it's just going to
In the log, it does it on separate lines. Yeah. Except it didn't do anything. Oh, yep, I put a comma instead of a semicolon. Thank you. There you go. So it spit out each one.
It's like whoever created JavaScript and really hated Java and C++ and all that.
No, that for loop is exactly the same.
No, I mean,
For loop is exactly the same.
how like it kind of like knows itself, like on itself, it just kind of skips a line off. Like, a little.
Yeah, that's as far as the console goes, that's just totally an implementation in the browser. That's not console log isn't even part of the language spec actually. Dot length is. And notice it's not a method, it's just a property, no parentheses there. So for loop, take a long look, say your goodbyes. We're never going to use a for loop again in this class. Enough with for loops, man. For loops are bull crap. That is so prescriptive. Here's what I'm trying to say. Print each item in an array. To do that, here's what I got to do. I got to say, okay, I better create a new variable. I'm going to start it at 0, okay? Then I better make sure that counter is less than the length of my array. Okay, once we've done that, then go ahead and log that thing to the array. Then, you know that counter that we made earlier? We need to make it one bigger. Now you better run that condition again. Okay, we good on the condition? All right, go ahead and log that thing out. Come on, man. That is so prescriptive. I just want to say, print each thing in the array. There's got to be a better way. Anybody know a better way? That's one way? Yeah. Okay. For each. But you knew that too? Or are you just repeating what she says? Have you been whispering the answers into her ear this whole time? She has an awful lot of answers. That you were trying to steal the glory? Is that what you didn't want me to think? Okay. It's good. Yeah, for each. For each is the poop. That's what we're going to use. So, here we are using a callback again. A callback is when you pass a function in as an argument to another function, right? So suppose we have this argument, or this function called log veggie. It's a function, takes a veggie as an argument. And it says console.log my favorite vegetable veggie, whichever one I passed in here. I have this beautiful function. Very nice function, beautiful function. Now suppose I want to call that function for everything that's in that array. Check it out. Veggies dot for each log veggie. I'm all done. I have to do this nonsense like, oh, better create a counter, better compare it to the size of the thing. That's a very common operation, right? Doing the same thing to every item in an array. There's got to be a shorter syntax for that. You're gosh darn right, there's a shorter syntax for that. So there it is. For each. You just pass it in a function, and it's going to call that function once for each item in the array, passing in the item from the array as an argument. So you could, and you'll often see people declare the function right there inside for each as an anonymous function. So you could do something like that too. So something like veggies.forEach, and then inside here, just actually write the function right there. Totally works. Of course, we could name this variable whatever we want, right? It's just an argument. I'll be here just a second. So then I could say console.log I hate, or we'll say V hates, because we know she hates them all, veggie. V hates cauliflower, V hates tomatoes, V hates cucumber, V hates corn. All right, so for each. Yeah, Lewis.
So, okay, so I understand that this little this trick is to print out everything in an array, and you're saying that we're not going to use for loops anymore because you hate them. But
Because for each can do everything that for loops can do.
what if in a situation that we need like a nested loop, like one loop among another and inside another and stuff like that? Like how would we do that with this? If you're like you said that we're not going to use them.
At the risk of sounding slightly glib, if you're tempted to do that, you probably need to refactor because there's probably a better way to do it. But there's no reason you couldn't call for each inside for each.
So
There's no technical reason you couldn't, and it isn't any worse than calling a for loop inside a for loop. But yeah, you can totally do that.
so this is just like your preference.
The only way for loop wouldn't work is if you need break, right? I mean, for each. You can call break from inside a for loop.
It's not necessarily preference though, right? It's not just your preference to use for each.
I mean, you're creating a new function, which you wouldn't have to do, but it lets you write whatever you're doing in there as a separate function, which kind of encourages you to write short, brief functions anyway. So that kind of encourages some good habits. Plus, there are other functions that are a lot like for each that do something to each item in an array, and so that are very, very similar to that. It is more declarative, which is something we'll define next week. The other way is very imperative. So besides for each, there's stuff like map, reduce, filter, find, which Kieran mentioned earlier. Good stuff. So any of those that you haven't used before, I encourage you to read up on because they're really cool. Sort works the same way. Pass in a callback. So yeah, you may as well use for each because it's there. So I'll show you one of the others. Like I said, there's a bunch of others like this that take a callback and do the same thing to every item in an array, and then do something different with the results. That's basically how they differ. So what map does is it collects all the return values. It does the same thing to each item in an array, calls the same function on each item in an array, but then it actually takes the return values and adds them in a new array. It gives you a new array back with the return values. So suppose I have a function called veggie thoughts. Veggie as an argument, and it returns thinking about some whatever, and it returns that. Then I call veggies.map veggie thoughts, and I get a new array back, const thoughts. There you go. Now I get an array of thinking about some corn, thinking about some cucumber, thinking about some tomatoes, thinking about some cauliflower. Right? Some Boston lettuce. Bib lettuce is the other name of that. B-I-B-B, Bib lettuce. If you see a Bib lettuce salad on the menu, order it. It's going to be delicious. Put some candied walnuts on there.